seen how uh, Dronacharya, when he was taunted by Duryodhan, that he was not killing anybody from the Pandav side, 4 days are already over, then decided that he will form a Chakravyuha, in which is a very circular formation and very difficult to break. So having formed that, and with that formation, from within that formation, he kept on creating havoc. The only person, and meanwhile, Arjun, as per request of Dronacharya, had been drawn away by Shisharma, far away from the battle site. And this was the opportunity Kurukshetra demanded. He said, if you give me this kind of situation, I will certainly neutralize one of the great warriors from the Pandav side. So when Arjun was not there, nobody could break this Chakravyuha. Uh, Abhanyu, who was aware of how the Chakravyuha could be breached, he offered to breach it. But he said and he did not know how to get out of it. So Yudhishthir said, don't worry now. There's no sense, there's no other alternative. You enter the Chakravyuha and we will all join you. All of us will also join you. And after you entered, then since we all will be there, we'll be able to take care of you, not only you, but take care of the Kauravas also. That's precisely what this Abhanyu did then. He broke into the Chakravyuha, but as he broke into it, Jayadratha was granted a boon that on any one day of your choosing, you will be invincible. He chose that day and he stood at the mouth of the Chakravyuha. And when this man, Abhanyu, he wanted to get out of it, or so that he could, he wanted that Jayadratha to be removed so that others could follow. Jayadratha had that boom, so he not only tried with Abhanyu, but Yudhishthira and Bhim, who wanted to enter, he held them at bay also. Till eventually he completed the Chakravyuha once again, uh, keeping the Pandava greats, all the Pandava brothers outside, and he alone was trapped inside. Within the Chakravyuha, he, all the greats who were there, Duryodhan was there, then Dushasan was there, Ashwatthama was there, Shakuni was there, even Karna was there, Dronacharya himself was there. All these, which he kept on fighting on one-to-one basis with all of them, and he gave them a measure of his mettle, and he in a way, not defeat them, but he managed to strike and humble them in several ways. Now, meanwhile, Duryodhana's son, Lakshmana, he also attacked this Abhanyu, but Abhanyu managed to kill him. Once Lakshmana, Duryodhana's son, was killed, then Duryodhana was really very upset. And he told all the people that let us get together. We don't have to worry about rules and regulations and the norms that we have decided early before the war. That it must be all one to one. If they forget about it, this fellow has to be eliminated very quickly. So all of them got together, and together they managed to kill him. Well, when later in the evening, when Arjun came to know about it, he was completely distraught and very upset, and he vowed that by tomorrow evening, by tomorrow sundown, I will certainly kill the Jayadratha, who is responsible for trapping my son inside. And if I don't do that, I'll immolate myself. Krishna, who was with Arjun's charioteer, he immediately reprimanded him and said, this is very foolish. You should not do any such thing. Because suppose you are unable to kill him, then what do you do? Suppose he hides, or suppose he dies by somebody else kills him, then your vow will remain unfulfilled, and you'll keep on searching for Jayadratha for centuries and for millennia, and you're not finding them. Then what should you do? So you should not make such vows. Anyway, that vow had been made. So then, when this vow had been made, there's nothing he could do about it. Now here, there's a little everything, like I told you, in each of these episodes, they are all full of metaphors. इसमें metaphor क्या है? Abhanyu stands for vanity. Vanity Dronacharya is duality. Chakravyuha is confusion. Dronacharya spins a web of confusion in which vanity gets trapped. Once vanity gets trapped, now all these are characters are within us. It is not there outside. So since they are within us, it does not matter whether they are on this side or that side. That is irrelevant. They're all within us, and we have to examine them on that basis only. So once delusion is there, not delusion, delusion has been neutralized, that is Bhishmatama has been neutralized, and duality Dronacharya is now the commander. So when duality is there, that time it can cause a lot of confusion. And what person who's vain, who has a lot of vanity in it, that is such a person is likely to get trapped in it. And this is what happens here. This is the interpretation of that metaphor. Now, in such a situation, this a person who is highly vain, he is the person who is likely to get trapped first by lust. Jadarat, if you recall, I mentioned that this also Jadarat is also a metaphor and stands for lust. So lust is the one who will grip a vain person first. And once such a vain person has been gripped, thereafter all other vices they are there. They will also attack a person who is very vain. Excuse me. Which means greed, covetousness, then you know all kinds of desires, then all kinds of wicked things that are there. All his brothers were there, Duryodhana's brothers. All the wicked traits which are there, they'll all attack it, and vanity will be eventually killed. So that's what happened in this case also, and that is the metaphor we're talking about. After Abhanyu had been killed, and Jayadratha had been, Arjuna had taken a vow to kill him. Then, since everybody came to know about it, Duryodhana ordered Jayadratha not to come out tomorrow, next day, and remain hidden so that he is not, Arjuna is unable to find him. And so, somewhere deep within their territory, the Jayadratha went and hid himself, and he did not come out throughout the day until it was almost sundown. In the Duryodhana's camp, everybody was very happy because Jayadratha had not been killed. And in the Pandav's camp, especially Arjun, was very upset and sad that he was unable to fulfill the vow. Krishna, of course, kept quiet. He knew what the situation was. So later on, as it happened, that when the sun went down, then somebody informed Jayadratha that the sun has gone down and you can come out. So he came out very cautiously and went in presence. Then when he found that the sun was actually down, then and the vow of Arjun had remained unfulfilled. So he went before him and started taunting him, telling, "See, you can't do anything about it. And in spite of your vow, I'm still very much alive." Anyway, but this sun had not really gone down, and it was only due to the magical power which Krishna had. He had caused a kind of eclipse, or rather, he had, brought all the clouds on the horizon far away, so that that formed that horizon. The cloud itself formed the horizon, and when the sun went below the cloud, it appeared as if it has sunk. But when Jayadratha came in before Arjun, then Krishna removed all the clouds, and suddenly the sun started shining again, once again that afternoon or just before evening. Now there's a problem for Jayadratha. Now see he was in front of Arjun, and Arjun will very quickly kill him. But as he took up his bow to kill him, uh, Krishna cautioned him. He said, "Wait. Your father has also taken a vow, and Jayadrat's father had taken a vow, and that he had been granted a boon. In fact, not taken a vow. Jayadrat's father had been granted a boon, and that was whoever was the cause of whoever causes his son's head to fall on the floor, his own head would be shattered into pieces. This was the boon that was been granted to Jayadrat's father, one Vridha Sheikh. So, so since Krishna knew about, he told about this boon to Arjun and said, "Don't you just shoot him and kill him. What you do is take your Pashvat missile, and with that, you shoot in such a manner that the head of Jayadrat, which flies off and falls into the lap of his father, his own father, Vridhasheth, who is at present meditating and sitting cross-legged in his ashram." And that's what Jayadrat did. Jayadrat, he shot the Pashvat missile which had been given to him by Lord Shiva, and he said true with that missile, and that head was deposited in the lap of his father. Now, when his father was meditating, got up from his meditation sometime later, then he found the head of his son on his lap. He was so shocked that he just stood up quickly, and the head rolled and went and fell on the floor. Since the head was fell from the lap of Vridhasheth, his father, his own father. So, as per that boon which had been granted to him, Vridhasheth's head also burst, and both of them were killed at the same time. Now, this again is a little bit of a metaphor. इसमें Vridhasheth stand for old age, and boon was that whoever kills the boon means the he is using the Pashvat missile. Krishna told him to use the Pashvat missile. Pashvat, Pashvat means all the path of the animal. So uh, you use such a missile that all the animal traits which are there, they are removed and killed. They let them go and kill, destroy all old age. So you get rid of all the animal traits. And when with the animal traits, he shot lust. That lust not only was that destroyed, but it fell into the lap of his father, Vidrashit. Falling into the lap here means that it is an offering. तो आपका lust जो है, you offer that as a gift to old age, as a gift as you give in a offering to God. Once you do that, then the that old age will be destroyed, and you will be left with childlike innocence. That is the meaning of this metaphor. So anyway, then with once Jadras has been destroyed, lust has been destroyed, then once lust has been destroyed, thereafter uh, the uh, yeah, once lust has been destroyed, then the next task was suddenly Duryodhan, he became very upset because Jayadratha was his brother-in-law. He was married to Dushala, and as you know, uh, the son-in-law or the brother-in-law is the most important person in any family. So, इसमें Duryodhan became very, what shall I say, upset, and he continued fighting long after his son had gone down. And son gone, this of course suited the Pandavas. Pandavas also kept on defending themselves. Earlier, if you recall, the agreement was that at sundown there will be ceasefire, and then everybody can go and meet whoever they want. And that it was during one of the ceasefire that when when Yudhishthir had gone to Bhishma Pitama had revealed to him how could Bhishma be neutralized. So now this time that ceasefire did not take place at sundown and the war continued, people were being killed even in the darkness. Now on the Pandav side, he had a son by name Ghatotkacha. Ghatotkacha was from the demonic Rakshas tribes, and their power would multiply at night. So when the war continued at night, then Garutkach was in his element, and Garutkach was very happy, and his power kept on increasing as the night progressed, to such an extent that he harried all the great warriors on the Kaurav side. In fact, he went and started shooting and harassing even Duryodhan. Then Duryodhan, in a he was greatly frightened, and then he called out to Karn and told Karn, Karn, you've got that missile or dart from Lord Indra Shakti. You'd use it upon him and destroy this Garudkach. Now, uh, Karn, of course, knew that his Kavach and Kundal were no longer there, and he was absolutely vulnerable. The only thing that he had was now one weapon, which was the Lord Indra Shakti, and this he had kept it safely so that when Arjun comes before him, he'll use it on Arjun and destroy him. Now, this Krishna knew about this, so that's why all along he had been keeping Arjun away from uh, thing, from Karn, and as long as Karn had that weapon Shakti, Krishna didn't allow Arjun to come before Karn. He may be taken away by Susharma a long way away, but nevertheless, he was safe from Karn. The reason being that, okay, now when that was so, when Karn heard Duryodhan calling for help, then without any second thought, even though he knew that if he lets go of the one weapon which is only capable of taming Arjun or killing, destroying Arjun, if he lets go of that, he'll become absolutely wonderful. But the large-hearted warrior that he was, and a very faithful warrior also, he merely uh, he didn't say anything. The moment Duryodhan told him to shoot that Shakti upon Gatotkacha and kill him, that's precisely what he did. He took out his arrow Shakti and shot at Gatotkacha, and Gatotkacha, as per the property of the weapon, immediately killed Gatotkacha, and thereafter it flew back to Indra. Now, in the uh, Kaurav side, there was great jubilation because they thought they killed such a great, powerful warrior. And of course, to an extent, they were right. But and on the Pandav side, there was great sorrow. Everybody was very upset and sorry that the Gatotkacha had been killed. Gatotkacha was Bhim's son. But Krishna was very happy. He said, now that Karn does not have Shakti, he will no longer be able to defeat Arjun. Now, Gatotkacha, the weapon which he had used, Shakti is flattery. That is why flattery can be used even against great people, but it can be used only once. And it is possible, it is not impossible that the weapon flattery which you use, people will even very advanced people on the spiritual field may succumb sometime to uh, not necessary, but it is not impossible that once they may succumb to flattery. And Krishna knew that even Arjun, how great he may be, and how controlled he was over his senses and everything else, it is not unlikely that he would fall for flattery. So that's why he was keeping it away. With that weapon gone, now Krishna was sure that nothing that Karn had would be able to take care of Arjun. Now, Karn still had his bow, his powerful bow, Vijaya. Vijaya was only victory over external foes. Now, this is war within us. So, within all of us, although it is said in a manner as if it's taking outside, but the entire Mahabharata war is going on within us. As such, this weapon this bow which he had Vijay, then Krishna Arjun had nothing to worry about it because Arjun, that bow weapon, that Vijay weapon would not be able to do any harm to Arjun. Arjun, on the other hand, he had his own bow called Gandhi. And Gandhi was self-confident. These are very many metaphors are there, which I have explained also in the book and even otherwise. Anyway, once the uh, Shakti had been lost, that time, uh, the next day, the after Gatotka's death, this was called off. Uh, Ceasefire was called, and war commenced only next day. Next day was the 15th day, and 15th day, Dronacharya managed to kill two of his great commanders from the Pandav side. These commanders were Virat and Drupad. Drupad, as you know, stands for one who is convinced that there is nothing other than this human body. So this concept or this was destroyed by Dronacharya. Dronacharya means duality. Now the individual that we all of us now we know, and this letter metaphor means that we have crossed the stage of knowing that I am only the body, and I have reached a higher level where duality has taken over, and now we know that there's something power beyond ourselves, beyond our body also. इसका एक छोटे से मतलब metaphor का this is सीखे हुए हैं that both Virat also means the same thing. Virat also means great. Virat and Drupad, they are both representative of uh, the our feeling that we are only the body and we are not consciousness or nothing more than the body. But destruction by Dronacharya means that now you are reached a little higher stage, you are reached the state of duality. Then Dronacharya, however, was still continuing to create great havoc, and he had to be destroyed. The only way he could be destroyed was by getting him to part with, or rather somehow feel that Ashwatthama is no more. Dronacharya's entire life centered around Ashwatthama, as we had seen earlier also, when he had gone to Drupad uh, to ask for Dan, then it was on account of Ashwatthama, excuse me, then it was on account of Ashwatthama who one day told his mother that I have had milk today. They were they were so poor, and that milk was nothing but some white chalk, the kind of thing which they all his kid friends had uh, mixed in a glass of water and given it to him and told him that this is nothing but milk. So he was very happy with it. Now, with this kind of an attachment to his son, he when had to be this was the weakness in him. So Krishna decided to take this weakness and utilize this weakness and get rid of him, or rather to get him to part with his weapon. If you recall, Bhishma had told Yudhishthir that our Guru, Lord Parshuram, whenever whenever one of his students was graduating, he used to bless them with the boon that as long as you hold a weapon in your hand, you're not likely, you won't be destroyed, you won't be killed. That weapon could be of course, from the spiritual point of view, it can be anything. It can be jap, it can be dhyan, it can be, nam smaran, it can be bhajan, it can be study circle. It's so many ways of keeping yourself up to date and in touch with divinity. So he said, when you keep on following any of these things, you're not likely to be destroyed. So they had to get rid of, in order to get rid of this thing, he had to he had to get rid of his weapon. So Krishna devised a plan. He called for an elephant who was named Ashwatthama and asked him Bhim to kill him. Bhim just did that, as Krishna had said that Ashwatthama was killed. Then he called, Krishna called Yudhishthir and told him that, look, you go and tell Dronacharya that Ashwatthama has been killed. Now, when Yudhishthir came to know about this plan, he said, no, no, how can I do that? Ashwatthama has not been killed. It's only the elephant. He said, elephant or no elephant, Ashwatthama has been killed. But he said, no, that will be cheating and that will be a falsehood. I will not do that. So Krishna said, all right, you don't do that. You go, you tell them Ashwatthama has been killed. Not the man, not your son, but an elephant. So reluctantly he agreed. Now, when he was going there, Krishna quietly told Bhim and all others what was the statement, how he's going to propose, how is he going to tell, and what is he going to tell Dronacharya. So when Yudhishthir, now accompanied by Bhim and several others, they all went to Dronacharya, and, Yudhishthir then told him, Ashwatthama has been killed. The moment Dronacharya heard this from Yudhishthir, Yudhishthir, as you know, was renowned for his truth and honesty, and he never spoke a lie. So the moment Dronacharya heard Yudhishthir saying that Ashwatthama has been killed, he assumed that his son has been killed. But thereafter, Yudhishthir qualified his statement, saying, not your son, but the elephant. And when he said these last words, he said it softly, and simultaneously, before sentence was over, when he said these last words, the second part of the sentence, that you are not your son, but the elephant, him and others who were present there, they started making a lot of noise, crying, kind of celebration. And in that ruckus which was made, Dronacharya did not hear the last part of the sentence. He only heard that Ashwatthama has been killed. Once he heard that Ashwatthama has been killed, his old world, which was rested upon his son, Ashwatthama, suddenly collapsed. And he found that there was no purpose of his life. So there itself, he just threw all his weapons and sat down to meditate. It was then that when the moment he sat down to meditate without his weapon, Drishtadyumna, who was there, he took out his scimitar, some one kind of sword, and just chopped off his head. And that's how Dronacharya was also killed. This also is a little bit of a metaphor. Yeah. Dronacharya stands for duality, and Ashwatthama stands for desire. Now, when you have duality, you will have desire. That is not impossible. That is certainly you will have desire. And the other way around, as long as you have desire, you will be in the duality mode. You cannot be, you cannot see the truth. So both that is significant that he is the boon of immortality. That desire will always remain. Since desire will always remain, Dronacharya would be, indestructible. He cannot be killed because this was linked to his son. But once when Ashwatthama is destroyed, although it was not his son, that time it was saying it is as a metaphor means that when desires are removed, then duality is also removed, and this duality can be removed only by vision. Vision is the thing that every spiritual aspirant must have. And this vision was there with Arjun. We'll come to that again also. Arjun had, if you recall, was the only one of the Pandav side who had gone and asked Krishna in that battlefield, "You take me to the center of the battlefield. I want to see who is fighting with me." And he keeps on questioning. That is what is foresight. What is vision? You must have vision for all that you are doing, important things and non-important things also. But most important is for important things. Whatever action you're taking, whatever you're doing, how is it going to reflect upon society, upon you, and upon everything else, upon everybody else. So that vision is very essential for a spiritual aspirant, and that vision is the one uh, which is going to destroy the delusion, not delusion, which is going to destroy duality. That is precisely what had happened. Okay. Once Dronacharya had been killed, then next day uh, Duryodhan called upon his friend Karn and said, now that Dronacharya is also no more and Bhishma is also no, is not, although he's there, but he cannot take part in the war because he's been completely disabled. You become the commander in chief. So that's how Karn becomes the commander in chief on the 16th day. Now I'll stop here, but I want to continue with some little bit upon ego and a little bit upon dharma. So all these two concepts, they require to be, reiterated number of times so that the concepts which are there, they become very clear. If you had seen in the WhatsApp chat had placed there, what exactly is ego? Ego has got two functions. One is to give us identity, remove all the identity which we had in our previous birth and give us a new identity. And second was take over ownership of all that we are doing. Now, all that ownership comes from society. The kind of identity which we have. So an identity which we have is three. We have got three identities really. One is our true and divine identity, which we come which we get as we are a part of Purush. Purush is divinity or consciousness. So one is that is the one identity. Then the second identity we get is from Prakriti. Prakriti means nature, and that nature gives an identity because of the form. Nature generates a form over a tiny fraction of Purush, and that form in our case is that of human. So that's the second identity, and the third identity is given by ego, ahamkar. That ahamkar which is there that gives us our third identity. And this is, although a false identity, yet it is the operating identity. It takes all the decisions, it completely subdues both the identity, especially the identity, divine identity is masked. I won't say removed, but it is masked so that we can't see. Sorry. So that identity is there. Now, इसमें ego जो है, ego ka is not always all negative. Yes, it has got a lot of negative traits, as we had mentioned there, that it is self-centeredness, selfishness. You see, all these are properties of the survival. For animal survival, these things are necessary. Self-centeredness, selfishness, ego, then a little bit of competitiveness, aggressiveness, then a little bit of anger and some fear, stress, depression. All these things are there. Ego also is responsible for, in fact, guilt and regret, envy in human beings, because the ego is not just our survival instinct. It is, in fact, survival instinct gone haywire when it becomes highly overactive. That is what ego is. These are all the negative traits. But ego also has positive traits. It has both demonic traits, which are negative traits, and divine traits, which are positive traits. What are those divine traits? These divine traits are self-esteem, self-centeredness, self-esteem, self-confidence, drive, enthusiasm, then ingenuity, creativeness, courage, boldness. All these things are also there. This is what these positive traits or divine traits, they help us progress in life, especially on the material side. And that these things are not available with animals. Now, and animals, because they don't have ego. Once they don't have ego, then they are driven only by their survival instinct, which are need based. Ego is the same survival instinct, but which is want based. Want based means you want more and more, more and more. And that's how you can, that's the difference between animals and humans. Our ego, we want more and more. It really gets us to, within inverted commas, develop in the material field. the houses that you construct have gone a lot of under have a lot of have gone a lot of change. And instead of huts, cave, we have started using uh, our own huts first of all. Then from the hut to paka building. Now, of course, multi-story building, air-conditioned building. The transport is not only walking; all kind of vehicles are there, and all these material improvements only man can do because he's got ego, but it cannot be done by uh, the animals. Now, it will give us an impression that then ego is a very good thing. Ego may be good thing from material point of view, but it is very harmful from spiritual point of view. Because whether it is demonic trait or divine trait, both those traits they leave their mark in the form of karma, and therefore we are not able to get rid of ourselves. We are unable to achieve more, or unable to cut ourselves off from this thing. So ego has to be got rid of. Then somebody might ask, uh, if the ego animals don't have, are they not supposed to be? Are they not really very advanced on the uh, spiritual side? No, the animals not only don't have ego, but they also don't have vision. The Drishtidyum. Drishtidyum, if you recall, was the commander of the Pandava army, whereas the head of the Kaurava army was Bhishma, delusion. So that is what. So on the righteousness side, you do need, on the spiritual side, you do need Drishtidyum in order to be able to destroy. In order to be able to destroy duality. Once duality has been destroyed, thereafter you can progress further and know yourself, or you will be in life, you will be moving toward enlightenment, and know that there's nothing other than you. You are Brahman, you are God, you are everything, you are just one without a second. But that can happen only after duality has been removed. And duality can be removed only by Drishti. So this was the significance of that metaphor. Okay, I think I'll stop here. I wanted to speak a little bit on dharma and swadharma, but I think we'll do that next time. Eh, yeah, I think dharma and swadharma we'll keep for the next time.